Okay, this is a friendly warning, very friendly. If you have little children here, I'm going to talk about a very sensitive topic, and I don't want them to be frightened by it. So, if you have little ones, I don't think we have too many at this Mass, please take them outside and you can come back after the homily, all right? Today's sermon is entitled, God Told Me to Do It. How many people here have seen the movie Sound of Freedom? So you know where that verse comes from. Two men, one working for Homeland Security, was asked by another man, why are you doing this, risking your life to retrieve children who are being used for sex trafficking? And the both of them came to the conclusion, God told me to do it. So God told me to speak to you about this very serious issue tonight. It is a very serious issue. First of all, this is the first movie I have seen, I think, in 10 years. The last one I went to see was Les Mis, and my sister dragged me there when I was visiting her in the great state of New Jersey. But I've been hearing so much about this movie, I said, I think I better go see the movie. It's not a topic or a problem that I'm unfamiliar with. I had some guests a year or two back on my television show, and they talked about the trafficking of children. But my theory has been not to go to the movies for a long time because I don't want to be upset. I like nice movies, like Les Mis, or The Sound of Music. Everything is beautiful. Turns out well. For the most part, I find many movies depressing and upsetting. However, I made the effort and I went to the theater at 10:30 on Wednesday morning. I got the early show. The theater was all mine. Thank God, because I was crying in the theater as I watched the movie. Sex trafficking of children is an unspeakable crime. Even in the movie, the words of Jesus are mentioned. If you scandalize one of these little ones, put a millstone around your neck and throw yourself into the ocean, into the sea. Sex trafficking of children is more common than you think. Just let me give you some of the numbers, and of course they're debatable because it's a very hard way or hard thing to do is to find out exactly how many children are involved in sex trafficking. The numbers that I have found, and these come from Homeland Security, are between 17 and 20 million children. 17 and 20 million. And those are the ones that they can account for. Some go up as high as 100 million children. And guess where the greatest hub for sex trafficking is? What country do you think it's in? The United States. The greatest number of sex trafficking of children in the world are right here in the United States, and it is a hub for sex traffickers. How do they get a hold of these children? Well, first of all, sometimes the children's parents sell them for drugs. Drugs, we talked about this many times before, is a terrible, terrible problem in this country. And if anyone here has dealt with a drug addict, you know what I'm talking about. They will steal their own mother's teeth. Believe me, I know. And so will they also sell their children. That's one of the supplies where sex traffickers gain children. The other place where they can procure children is by convincing a child, and we're talking about the ages of 7 to 14, 7 to 14, that if they come with them, they'll give them a better life. And they begin to groom them by the presents. And if they get them from other countries, they will tell the parents in those countries, we're going to take your child, bring him or her to the United States, and educate them and give them a better life. And some parents in countries like Nicaragua, Honduras, they're desperate for a better life for their children, and they let their children go. How do these children get trafficked? That's an interesting question. But the internet is one of the main avenues for sex trafficking of women and children. And certain apps, certain sites are rather notorious for this sex trafficking. TikTok and Instagram. Many of you, I'm sure, know that your children have access to these apps. Instagram, TikTok, just to name a few. What do they do? What do they do? Children go onto the internet and they chat. They meet people on the internet. I know for many of us, this is a whole new world. I've never chatted on the internet. I have no desire to chat on the internet. But young people do. They spend a good deal of time on the internet meeting people in chat rooms and being in contact with people they don't even know. And those people eventually groom them, and of course then what they'll do is set up a meeting place for them, and then they will take the child and tell the child, we're going to give you a better life. A lot of these children are on the internet because they have difficulties, maybe at home with their parents. One of the most vulnerable groups, though, is we find that those children who are in foster homes. Some of them will do anything and everything to get out of the foster home. And so they'll meet somebody who claims to be their friend in a mall. And then they'll take that child to a location where there are other children, or in the case of women, other women, and they will then use them for sex trafficking. The age group we're talking about, as I said, is 7 to 14 years old. When we talk about sex trafficking in this country, women included, and unfortunately some men, 51% of sex trafficking takes place with that age group of children. Now, what do these children do? Well, I'm not going to describe it here. I can't. It's so revolting. But I can tell you this. They work for $90 per sexual act. Goes to the pimp. $90. And they can use these children numerous times during the day. It's not just once, it's numerous times during the day. And how do they get these children to the perverts, and that's what they are, perverts, who want to buy them? I'll tell you what happens. It's just so disgusting. It's just so disgusting. Hotels, motels, truck stops, adult superstores, as they're now called, and Asian massage parlors. That's how and where they traffic the children. 86% of the children involved in drug trafficking are Americans. Americans, they're our children. They're ours. A large number also come from Mexico and the Philippines. Large number, Mexico and the Philippines. How are they getting here? How are they introduced into these perverted actions and acts? As I said, parents might sell them, but also they are introduced to these traffickers oftentimes by someone close to them, not just parents, relative or a friend. And I know this because I have a girl at Newman High School who was sex trafficked. She's now 17 years old. It happened when she was 14 years old. Her cousin said, "I got this guy that wants to meet you." She said, "Okay." She thought nothing of it. The cousin probably had a drug problem, said, "Here, I'll give you drugs, I'll give you money. Bring me your cousin. I've seen her, she's cute." When she was introduced to this pervert, this criminal, he drugged her and raped her. She had a baby at 14 years old. I know her. I see her quite often. And she's still not over the trauma. Still not over the trauma. Will she ever? I doubt it. I doubt she'll ever get over it. How many other children are there like this? How many other ones? We're talking about 17, 20 million, 50 million. And how else are they coming here? Guess what? They're coming through the border. They're coming through the border. 450 children per day come over the border unaccompanied by an adult. Unaccompanied. And about 350 of them end up in foster care, which is unable to take care of that many children. And many of them then run away. They're lost. They don't even know who they are anymore. Their identities are lost. Some of them don't even remember what their last name is. And yet, that border stays open, porous, dangerous. Let me tell you this. This is not a political statement. This is a true statement. Sound of Freedom was shown by House Leader McCarthy last week at the Capitol. Tickets for all the congressmen. Only one party showed up. Do I have to say any more than that? Something is drastically wrong. You've heard about Jeffrey Epstein. Have we heard about the lists of clients that he had, bringing them to his fantasy island on the Lolita Express? Someday read the book Lolita. It's a classic. But it's revolting. It is revolting. So who's behind all this trafficking? Why are we the hub for sex trafficking? The United States, America, the land of the free. In the movie, the man who is rescuing these children from the sex traffickers said, God's children are not for sale. God's children are not for sale. But they are in America. And there are people who are responsible for it. They're in high places. Where's the list of Jeffrey Epstein's friends? Where are they sitting now, many of them around the world? Why can't the border be sealed? Why do we have 450 children a day coming over that border, unaccompanied by an adult? Because the coyotes are making money on them. That's why. And the cartels are making money on them. And they're coming over here with drugs and with human beings to sell God's children. Those are the facts. They're the facts. Go look them up. Go see the movie. It took 5 years to get that movie out. Why? The big shots didn't want it out. Now I'm going to tell you what God told me to tell you. I've been in contact with James Caviezel, the star of the movie. He's the one that played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ. His staff is willing to have him come to Naples to address the people of Naples on this horrible sex trafficking problem. They want a $120,000 bond to make sure that when Father O makes the commitment, if I don't get the receipts that I expect, that there'll be money to back up Caviezel and his organization for making him present here in Naples. Somebody said, Father, you have any parishioners with deep pockets? If you have deep pockets, please see me. Please see me. You might be just the person that God wants to rescue more children from sex slavery, from trafficking God's children. You might be able to shed a light on what some of the problems are right here in Naples. Go talk to Sheriff Rambosk, ask him. Ask him. I spoke to the sheriff. It's a problem. And it's not just in Immokalee. It's here. It's here. Even if one person can't put up that bond of $120,000 to guarantee the Caviezel organization that we can make sure that the event will be successful and that fees will be paid, maybe some people can pool their resources in order to make this happen in Naples. God told me to ask you for the money. See what God tells you to do, because God's children are not for sale. God love you.